Wow, a whole nother year's gone by. And sure, I've accrued billions in box office sales, not to mention billions more followers on my social media. I'd never tell them, but knowing my close friends care means more than all of that combined. Oh, here he comes. Yo, B, what's up? Notice anything different about me?
No! Time for video games on WIAGW!
What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on the show where I'm a genius semi-regularly. Alright, enough faffing about, let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen, because we're talking hardcore about a video game today, specifically Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Now, if you aren't in the know, this game has a storied history that is well worth discussing in detail. Bloodstained is the baby of one Koji-kun, and in case you weren't aware, was the subject of one of the most successful kickstarting campaigns of all time. Koji, of course, having been the man behind the Castlevania series ever since Symphony of the Night, launching the WIAGW style of the game series. However, Konami, the company that developed and published these games, decided they wanted to go a different direction when it came to making quality games a few years back, and at that point Koji decided that, man, I'm frustrated with what I'm able to produce at this company. They're not doing the same kind of thing that I want to be making. I want to make the games that I love, so I've got to split. And just to clarify further, what an WIAGW really is a particular derivative of this overarching Metroidvania genre that I know annoys some people to say. But the focus in that game is more on the grindy side of things. You have things like an EXP bar, you have stats, you have HP and MP, and you can find items to increase those things. And the game tends to be more about finding specific items or abilities that you need to use to get past certain hurdles in a 2D platforming style of gameplay. And while that's true of the other side of the coin, Metroids as well, those games don't have the kind of EXP-based sort of systems. Those are more about just exploring, finding tricks and techniques to optimize your exploration, and finding items and specific abilities that power up your character over time. You get a different kind of flavor depending on which you prefer more. Anyway, this is WIAGW, so let's talk about that. Allegedly having been inspired by the success of the Mighty No. 9 Kickstarter, don't let that color your expectations too much, he decided to do a Kickstarter as well, which earned over $5.5 million over the requested $500,000. All in the name of producing his own new WIAGW in the classic style of the game. The game came out a couple of weeks ago now, and I personally have beat it. I haven't gotten 100% in every category, but I have 100%ed the map and have many things to say about it. So first of all, I personally have played every single WIAGW game ever made. My first Castlevania ever was Castlevania Circle of the Moon for GBA, and it was all gravy from there. I am a huge fan of the WIAGWs and was slobbering with anticipation when I heard that this little subgenre might be reignited by Bloodstained. Now, with Kickstarter having hit and miss results, see Mighty No. 9, I personally didn't back it and was very worried it would be shit. But what's the verdict? Let's dive into it. And by the way, this is a review of the game Bloodstained Ritual of the Night primarily. This is not an analysis of the Kickstarter process or even if this game is like an appropriate return on investment for the money that was funded to the project. That's a whole different discussion that I'm not specifically talking about. This is just one piece of the puzzle. How is the game? Although, before we get into that, there's one other little caveat I wanted to say. Now, as I said, I'm a huge WIAGW fan, but I've never really played many of the old classic Castlevania style of game, you know, with Simon and Richter and whatnot, where you run and you jump and you swing the whip. I prefer the RPG style stuff historically. I played a little bit of Dracula X, which was like a remake of Rondo of Blood, somewhat I think, and I played a little bit of the original Castlevania with Simon. However, the one game like that I have beat is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which was a classic NES Castlevania game made for Switch and other consoles, which was funded by this Kickstarter. So this Kickstarter funded at least 2 games. Pretty cool. I didn't 100% that, I didn't get the secret ending, but I beat it on normal and was very satisfied. Thought it was a really good game. I wanted to play more. That came out about a year ago, May 24th, 2018. However, this year, it finally happened. June 19th, 2019, the game finally released, but not to me. When I saw the release date, I thought, I know, I'll go buy that game on this date. So of course I buy it, for my fucking Switch. Little did I fucking know, the only version that didn't come out on that day was the fucking Switch version, which came out a week later. I don't know why that fucking is, but it peeved me off, so minus 10 points for fucking Gryffindor. Anyway, when I finally managed to play the fucking game, it was pretty good. Now I'm going to be discussing my experience with the Switch version of the game. I know it's on PC and PS4 and other shit. I don't give a fuck about any of those. Didn't play them, not gonna. The Switch is the superior console for comfort and playability, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to be diving deep into all the details of the game, so if you don't want to hear that, now's your time to go. Skip ahead to the P.O. Box or whatever the fuck you want. So here we go. Is this game an unplayable piece of trash like other Kickstarters have been? No. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a good game. I highly recommend it if you like Igavania games. It has been since the year 2008 that the last true Igavania was made, which was of course Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. I loved that game. I played the shit out of it. I've played every Igavania before it, but it's been 11 years and I've been craving a new one. I played basically every Metroidvania that I could get my hands on, but none of them have tapped into that pure bliss that I first tasted with Castlevania Circle of the Moon and was refined to its pinnacle, in my opinion, in Castlevania Aria of Sorrow for GBA. This is my favorite Castlevania, Igavania, whatever. The story is milquetoast as you would expect. Not a single Castlevania game has ever impressed me with its story, with a slight exception of Aria of Sorrow, which I thought was pretty darn good. But they're all incredibly simplistic with very little dialogue and storytelling. Mostly, it's exploration. And oh, what a sense of exploration there is. From the very first moments of any Metroidvania, and especially the Igavanias, the creep towards getting your map completion to 100% is such a rewarding thing to see. And as I tweeted out when I got there, that exquisite feel when you have beaten the final boss of the game, gotten the bad ending, and see that you've only explored like 50% of the map, knowing that you have so much left to discover. Ah, what a fucking adventure! Yes! In basically every way, it's just like another of the Igavania formula, but God, I would play any game made adhering to that formula. I love it so much. Exploring the castle with its different areas, acquiring new weapons or equipment to help you counter specific threats or achieve specific goals in the castle. Oh my God, I love every fucking second of it. Finding the little secrets that are scattered throughout and the satisfaction of having completed all the major challenges, including the secret boss at the end, which I did. Oh Lord, it's just what I needed to scratch that itch that I've had for 11 goddamn years. However, not every single thing is positive about the game. At the very least, the Switch version I played was buggy as shit. Maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but there were constantly graphical issues. I would go to the menu sometimes and it would fail to load and I'd get like a black screen. There was a constantly occurring phenomenon where when you kill an enemy in the game, they have a chance to drop items. Those items appear in little burlap sacks, and so often, those sacks would get stuck in the environment and would not drop down to the floor, and they would just hang there, unable to be interacted with. I eventually discovered that if you just wait around long enough, it seems like the game times out and you just instantly get the item and it disappears from there. So there is a way around that eventually, but God, did I miss a lot of items trying to figure out how that worked. This is obviously not how the game is supposed to be played. I got exactly one game-ending glitch as I was just playing through the game, went to a new room or whatever, and it just crashed. Game was over, had to restart from my save point. That was the worst it got. But there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of like missing textures that you can see flickering in the background, or sometimes patterns that get totally fucked up when you go to the wrong menu sometimes. It's just a very buggy game, at least the Switch version. I assume the others are more polished, and I assume this is why the Switch version came out a week late, but it is far from perfect. Now, for a guy like me, none of that really bothers me that much. But you know what does bother me more? This game uses 3D models in a 2.5D perspective, so it still feels like a Metroidvania, and there's just no getting around it. This game is fucking ugly. It was very amusing when a couple of weeks before the game came out, Igarashi released a video showing like, we've improved the visuals so much, and does like a transition effect. I was like, bruh, sure, it's like a little darker and shit, but it still looks like ass. Go to the menu and look at some of the character models. It's just the textures are ugly, the models are, fine, I guess. Everything feels clunky and just... It's just not a very attractive looking game. When you think back to the old pixel style of Symphony of the Night, or Aria of Sorrow, or Order of Ecclesia, or whatever, oh my god, my heart aches for those days. Now, I admire them for building this game from the ground up. A long time thing people had said about the Igavania style was that ever since Symphony of the Night, they've just been coasting on that. They've been using recycled sprites first from that game, and constantly were accused of just repeating the same formula, which is largely true in gameplay terms. The same enemies appeared in like every single game, and it was pretty funny at times. Now, by copyright issues and whatnot, they've been forced to remake everything from the ground up, and I respect the effort. It's impressive. But on the 2.5D stuff, I appreciate that there are times where they do fun things with the camera, where they swirl it around, so the fact that they're not stuck in 2D gets utilized for some more cinematic-y moments, but it doesn't do that much for me, and the game just is still quite plain ugly. That's all there is to it. But as I said, for a guy like me, I don't really care. As long as the moment-to-moment gameplay is good, then that's what I care about. And they really clearly went about making the game feel as much like a classic Igavania as possible. I know that in past videos they've showed how like Miriam's walk speed and jumps are like identical to Alucard from Symphony of the Night and whatnot, so cool. Why fix what ain't broke? It works. Although on that subject, I'm sure many people are going to be critical, at least a little bit, of the fact of how repetitive this game feels to old Igavania games. People had that criticism within the actual Igavania games themselves, that they were too samey, it was the same formula applied over and over, to which I say, basically true. Basically true. There was some innovation, but that mostly stopped after Aria of Sorrow and the introduction of like the soul system that has become the shard system in this game. My rebuttal to this point would simply be that we used to get these games frequently. There was a time when a new Igavania came out for the GBA every single year. It was a gold rush of that style of Castlevania game, the likes of which we haven't seen since the glory days of Final Fantasy, all coming out one fucking year apart. Absolute insanity. But now, in the modern age of gaming, it's been 11 fucking years since the last one. And while the Kickstarter after Iga launched it managed to rack up over $5 million relatively quickly, it's taken 4 years since 2015 when it wrapped to get the game.
The point being, considering the release schedule we used to be used to, can you really blame us for being thirsty as fuck? I need another dose of my medicine.
I just miss the old days, man. These big corporate entities were so efficient at producing great games for a very specific golden era of time. But times have changed. And at this point, it feels like a miracle to even get one, but let me get back to that in a minute. I'd like to go into a little bit of detail as to why I like the style of gameplay in Bloodstained so much more than even other types of Igavanias. And as I said before, it's this shard system. In Castlevania, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Order of Ecclesia, and now Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. All those games have a system where individual enemies in the world can be attacked and you can acquire a unique ability from them. This makes every enemy feel important to the world, like they really matter. And if you need a certain soul, you'll have to go track down that specific demon somewhere in the goddamn castle and grind that motherfucker until you get the soul. For many, this can be an arduous, annoying process. And it's true, because there are so many souls in the game, if you want to, for example, go for 100% completion rate on souls or anything else, grinding will be a necessity, which a lot of people don't enjoy. However, that's the trade-off that you have to have. And this also factors into the moment-to-moment gameplay, because again in these games, you have something like an EXP bar ever since Symphony of the Night. All Igavanias have this, where when you kill an enemy, you get a little experience, you're closer to leveling up, this makes your character permanently stronger. So as you're exploring the castle killing enemies, even while grinding, every single action you take while fighting gives you a tangible reward as a player. You're inching closer to higher levels. None of it feels wasted. You're getting items, you're getting weapons, you're getting souls, you're getting shards, you're getting whatever, and it all feels good. This is in stark contrast to the Metroid style of gameplay, which also applies to something like Hollow Knight. In those games, there's no leveling up. There are permanent stat upgrades or weapon upgrades and whatnot. That game cuts away the repetitive aspect from Bloodstained and Aria of Sorrow and whatnot, and instead gives you big moments where you jump up in ability significantly. Those exist too in Igavanias, but less so. The trade-off as I see it is that in games like Metroid or Hollow Knight, when you get one of these upgrades, it really feels like a bigger deal for the character, and you feel like you've made major progression forward, while it feels less special to get any individual soul or ability in an Igavania. Not to mention, with things like EXP and getting new weapons and whatnot, you can get significantly overpowered in those games, while in Hollow Knight or Metroid, you are going to remain at the pretty much appropriate power level throughout the game that the devs want you to be at. And that can be a good thing, because if there's one thing I've done historically in Igavanias, it's get too powerful and make the enemies trivially easy. And that's not a great feeling too. You gotta do something about it. Now, looking back at my history, considering the games I've played, which style do I personally prefer? It's absolutely Igavanias. However, I do think that, for example, Hollow Knight is a better game than Bloodstained. But that's due to many things. The insane level of polish in Hollow Knight just puts it on such an elevated position over most of the other games I've played, and the challenge remained high enough for me to feel like I'm being pushed, as opposed to Bloodstained, where I did kind of feel like I was curb stomping my way through the game after a while. If you're ever stuck on a bus, you just go grind, go accomplish some other task, and when you come back, you'll probably just be way stronger and can easily take it out. That's not really challenging you to get good, as I generally like to do. I suppose you can kind of think of them as one is like a technical mastery sort of thing, while the other is kind of mindless grinding. Of a sort. That's an uncharitable interpretation, but I think you know what I mean.
But to get back to the positive, it would be unfair of me to not mention some of the specific, very impressive little touches that Iga managed to fit into Bloodstained, just as he did when he first made a game like this, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, so many years ago. Moments like the Celeste Room, where you can go in and play around with these music boxes and try different things, and I had to go online and look up what the hell even happens in this room, and found out that if you turn on a very specific one of the music boxes and sit in one of the chairs, you get visited by some electrical alien thing. What a cool touch! Reminds me so much of sitting in the confessional back in the Symphony of the Night days, where if you sit in that chair, a priest will appear, it's a whole crazy thing. So cool. Or that part of the game where you discover that you have to get through a fountain filled with blood. So you go on a little side quest to track down a vampire who you know can suck blood without even touching someone, and then you beat them, get the shard attached to him, you go back there, you use it, you suck up all that blood in a big glorious little cutscene, and you're able to progress in the game. Oh man, what a fucking set piece, and God, it feels great! But the absolute best one I didn't have to look up. There was a piano that I found earlier in the game, and I messed around with. You could sit next to it. I didn't do anything with it much at the time, but when I got to the end credits, there was a little clip that I saw there. A single image of Miriam, the main character, sitting at that piano with one of the familiars you can get in the game sitting on the edge of that piano. That got my noggin a-joggin', so I immediately booted the game back up, went there, equipped that soul, sat down, and I got an earful.
Cinder and blight veil the air, bring the night, and your eyes they close, sweet repose suspended.
Now, I played this in English, and for the record, the Japanese sounds a million times better. But do you know what's happening here? Miriam will play the piano here regardless, something that I missed when I got earlier in the game. But by equipping this specific soul, the fairy Kara boss, it will sit down on the piano and will sing the words to the song, adding that to the accompaniment. It was after being the final boss, coming back in and experiencing that moment, feeling that love bursting out of the game, that's when I knew I had played something great. I can't tell you how much a moment like that made me sit back, reflect on the experience I just had, and be truly grateful. Apparently this is a nod to something similar that happens in Symphony of the Night, one I'm not actually aware of, but makes me want to go back and play that game too, to experience that as well. Just well done, Iga. Well done.
Summing up my thoughts on Bloodstained, was this a good game? Absolutely. I feel like giving it, I'm gonna say a light 8. And I'm only giving it that low of a score because of the many glitches, that fucking crash I got, and because the game is just quite ugly. But in terms of actually playing the damn thing, I had an absolute blast. I don't know if I'm gonna go back for 100% in every category. Once I went 100% of the map, I really felt that sense of accomplishment that I don't think getting, the final potion of fuckboy number 1, 2, 3 to finish my item requirement 100%, it's really gonna do much for me. Oh, but on this subject, there was actually a boss rush mode that I unlocked after I beat the final boss, which wasn't the true final boss. And when I played the second one, I started fighting bosses that I'd never fought before in the game. God damn it, that's fucking spoiler, game. You should lock that shit behind beating the true final boss, motherfucker. Or at least beating all the bosses in that boss rush. Ridiculous. Now, there's only one last thing I want to discuss considering this game. And it's a certain feeling I get, not specifically about this game, but of this kind of like revived nostalgia game things. Like this game, Mighty Number 9, Like It or Hate It, or even a Ukulele. All those games were made to resurrect the kind of game that we as consumers felt weren't being created. And so devs stepped in and said, we'll make them, we'll self-publish, we'll produce them ourselves, we don't need the big corporation who's going another direction. And we got the products we got. With Bloodstained, I think it was a great success. However, the thing that gets to me is, that's like 3 games. How many series are going unresurrected in this way? Just take, for example, another Konami property, Silent Hill. Where's our fan resurrection of Silent Hill? It just strikes me that games like Bloodstained or Ukulele or even Mighty Number 9, we're fighting an outgoing tide. This golden age of gaming I was talking before, where our corporate overlords were kind enough to actually produce games quickly that we liked. That concept is just kind of disappearing in front of us, and there's nothing we can do to get it back. And the couple of times that we do get good resurrections, like Bloodstained, are so far and few between. So while every moment I had playing Bloodstained, I had a great time. It was a really fun game. Not perfect, not even close, but a great game. I can't help but feel this existential dread about myself and fellow gamers of my generation. I don't know why this style of game is dissolving before our eyes, but it really feels like it is. And even our best efforts, like getting Igarashi himself to step up and make the game, I mean, how many more of these does he have in him? What's the future like for Igavanias of this style? I suppose in a way you could consider this kind of a bubble that was finally popped. If these developers were only able to make these games due to the huge corporate backing, which was based on economic incentives that have now changed and disappeared, I guess this is just what's gonna happen naturally. But look, I'm not trying to be a downer. It's simply something that I'm thinking about that maybe I can do something to help. Maybe I can get involved in making the kind of games that I love. I don't want to just sit here and bitch about how things aren't how they should be. I want to help make them that way. Kickstarters are good and all, Indiegogos are great, but is that really the answer to all of these issues? I don't know. Just something I'm thinking over. If you got any thoughts about this, let me know in the description. I'd be interested to see what people think. And also tell me what you thought about Bloodstained, because I thought it was a great game. I recommend playing it. I'd probably recommend playing it on a platform other than the Switch if you really care about performance and whatnot, because also it did a bunch of slowing down, and that sucked. But hey, I don't actually know if those versions are better, so I don't know. Fuck it! Let's move on. Transition. All right, let's spring for 3 things to open today. And by the way, send me your shit at the address listed down below. Won't that be fun to have me open on the show if it's cool? Okay, first up is this one from an individual named Zane. Oh shit, I moved the mic. I hope they didn't fuck up on my audio. What the heck is all this? This is a lot of crap in here. Okay, hang on. So first of all, there's a helpful mask. Isn't that nice? There's a nice choker included in here. Okay, cool. My neck is too fat. I cannot fit this around, so I'm gonna wear it as a bracelet. Candy cigarettes, cool. My mom's dried pears, organic with no additives. That's cool, but I'm probably not gonna eat those. Oh, there's a cool new pair of sunglasses. Okay, dope. A Macy's box with a cheer star necklace. Okay, we're really doing it now, lads. A poster. What the fuck is this? Tales from Stool Lake invites you to the 2-hour podcast special at the Torrin Gasparro Theater in Seattle, Washington, June 11th, 2017. Okay, and what do we got? Tijuana. Postcard, let's see. Dear Nate, best PCP member, my name is Zane, and I would be lying if I said that I consider myself an anime connoisseur, but I still love you. No homo for your PCP lectures and positive personality that is so refreshing. When, okay, people are, yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, so many of the people I subscribe to on YouTube have the I'm so depressed, out of shape, and suicidal lol persona. Yeah, that's pretty shitty, huh? I pray that before I die, someone at the PCP will make a Bionicle PCP University lecture. Wishful thinking, I guess. Hey, if you dream it, you can achieve it. I don't know if anyone has done this, but I decided to write you a Best Guy Ever fan fiction complete with glorious sexual romance. Additionally, enjoy this poster for a fictional event that I made for my Photoshop class. Oh, that's what that was. P.S. You like the band Tool. I've never really listened to them, but thanks. P.S. I work at a thrift store and recently someone donated their waifu. Here's a picture of me with it. A shame someone would disrespect their waifu like that. Maybe someone in the comments will recognize her if she's from an anime/manga or other weeb shit. That's obviously Vivi from One Piece, dude. Come on. Summary. Best Guy Ever visits Mumkey for a business-related podcast special. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you choose to view it, things don't quite as Best Guy Ever planned and hijinks ensue. Cue shenanigans music. All right, well, this is a lot to get through right now, but I will take a look at this later, my dude. Oh, I see chapter 1. I think this is only oh, this chapter 7? Wow. Okay, thanks, Zane. I will take a look at it later. Okay, next up, we've got a message from, looks like AJ. All right, here we go. Oh, on the back, there's a shopping list from May 13th, 2019. Full-size envelopes, better pens, the meats of war. Cool. Ah, yes, I see you folded up to fit. Well done. Ooh, this is pretty nice. Can you see this like ASCII art of the sunglasses? Ooh, it's very nice. Dear Best Guy Ever, the green bit isn't really meant to be read on camera. Oh, okay, never mind. Then, okay, let's read the art in the sunglasses here. Okay, question. How do you feel about the kinesthetics of Attack on Titan tribute? Cultural perception of the adaptation is mainly for people who can't have biological children. Oh wait, I get it now. There was words in here and that's a separate thing. Okay, I haven't read the end of Attack on Titan. I know that there's some themes of like eugenics or like self-imposed like ending of a species or a race or whatever. I don't know, probably pretty cool. I'll let you know when I get there. I'm glad you seem to enjoy my last letter. Full disclosure, the idea was ripped straight from the word of Mark Z, blah, blah, author of House of Leaves. Oh, okay, cool. Beyond that, it was also an experiment to see how I might be able to express myself in words without limiting the expression to the words themselves. I feel like I succeeded there, even if you did miss a chunk of the letter that was thankfully irrelevant anyway. An update in case you read the rest, I did ask her out and she said no for that day, but now we're in regular content working out something. All's well. You know, here, it sounds like you're doing like a thing with a girl where you like asked her out and she didn't say yes instantly. Why would you like continue to hang? I'm telling you right now, first of all, love doesn't exist. Not the way they sing songs about it. So literally she said no. Go fuck another girl. That'll make this girl like you more. You can get her on the rebound. My actual advice. But also, don't take my advice ever. Okay, next thing. Also, cool letter, bro. Apparently, he's got more to come, so I look forward to it. Last letter. This is a cute, like, girl letter. You know, hashtag girl letters, you know, with, like, stationery and, like, Hello Kitty shit, trying to cover up the address. Okay, let's see what's going on in here. I always feel bad when I rip open these hashtag girl letters, but oops! Okay, here we go. Hey Nate, congrats on becoming a full-time YouTuber. Thanks, Dab. Hopefully now you'll have more free time to get those gains at the gym, indeed. And maybe do a quick Q&A afterwards. Hey, this guy watching the PCP, shout out to Tom. I was wondering if you had any advice for someone who has never moved in her life and is planning to escape the Australian outback and join civilization. Cheers, Chayla. Chayla, okay. I haven't moved a lot, and I assume if you'd be moving, probably within Australia, like from the outback to the city. I have done that. I lived in a pretty rural town in Massachusetts before I came out to Cincinnati, Ohio. You know what I'd say? I'd say that wherever you go, there you are. Ipso facto, just be yourself. No, I'd say everywhere you go is not too different from each other. Like, life's always gonna be the same. You'll always be able to go to the store and buy a fucking bucket of chicken and then take it back home and suck the meat off the bone. You know what it is. Okay, tangible advice. Make a plan for yourself, know what to expect. If you're planning on moving somewhere, take a trip there ahead of time, scout out the land and be like, could I live here for a while? If you feel like yes, be like, okay, I could live here. I know what my plan's gonna be once I'm here. I know what my job's gonna be. I know what my situation's gonna be. I know how I'm gonna fund myself, at least for a while. Get those kind of details in order, because I find that once I can like answer some of my questions about how life is gonna be lived, I feel a lot better and more secure. And I don't need to worry about shit as much, which is always nice. So that's my suggestion to you. Make a real plan for yourself. Isolate details that you know are gonna be this way or that way. You don't have to answer every single question, but as many as possible would be what I do and what I recommend. Thanks for writing. All right, everybody, and that's gonna do it for this week's WIAGW.
What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
If you like my work, support me on Patreon or Subscribestar. $1 gets you into the Patreon Discord. $5 gets you the BGE monthly cast, which is gonna be better than ever, every time, probably. Seriously though, I need money to live. Thanks. Go check out my shit on The Procrastinators and The Podcast, podcast and One Piece Show, respectively. Oh, and of course, people haven't done this in a while, but send me your hashtag WIAGW noises. People, I've run dry. There's no more WIAGW noises. They're all trash or used. I need WIAGW noises. Send me your audio clips on Twitter. Use hashtag WIAGW noise. Send them to me so I can use funny meme clips. If you want to follow what I'm doing day to day to day, why not check out my Twitter at BestGuyEver. And of course, check out my, for now, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. live streams. That schedule will probably change as I do more going forward, but right now, Saturdays, 7:30, twitch.tv/definitely bestguyever. I'll see you there. All right, lads, I've got to run. I will see you around. Have a beautiful week and a wonderful life, and take care. You know how much I care about those close to me.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
See you next week. Bye!